The morning sky was gray when they carried the coffin out. Rain hung in the air but never fell, as if even the clouds held their breath. Behind the slow line of mourners walked a brown dog, quiet, small, and soaked from the mist. No one had invited him. No one even noticed him at first. He followed the hearse all the way down the dirt road, his paws sinking into wet soil, his eyes fixed on the box that carried the only person he'd ever known. They said she had died peacefully, but for him, peace meant nothing, only absence. When they reached the graveyard, he stood at a distance, trembling, as the crowd gathered around a hole in the ground. Words were spoken, tears were shed, umbrellas opened and closed with the wind. The priest's voice faded, and one by one, people began to leave. But the dog stayed. When the last footsteps disappeared down the path, he crept closer, nose twitching at the scent of the earth just turned over. He circled the mound once, then sat down beside it, as if guarding it from the silence itself. That night, the cemetery froze under moonlight. The dog lay curled beside the grave, rain finally falling, each drop sinking into his fur like memory. He didn't move, didn't eat, didn't sleep, only listened. Somewhere in the distance, an owl cried. He lifted his head slightly, as if mistaking it for her voice. Then he lay down again, his body pressed close to the cold ground. Morning came. The gravedigger found him still there. He tried to shoo him away, waving his shovel, shouting, but the dog only backed up a few steps, then returned to the same spot once the man was gone. Days passed. The villagers began to talk. The little dog's still there? Every day, said the gravedigger. He doesn't leave. Someone brought him scraps of food. He sniffed them, ate a little, then buried the rest in the soil near the grave, as if saving it for her. Children from the nearby village came to see him. They whispered and took photos from behind the fence, calling him the guardian dog. But to him, it wasn't duty. It was love. Seasons turned. Grass began to grow around the stone. Flowers bloomed wild and untamed. He still lay beside them, sometimes resting his head on the carved letters of her name. When it rained, he took shelter under a small tree nearby. When the sun burned too hot, he dug a shallow hole in the shade. But he never left. The caretaker once tried to take him home. He carried the dog in his arms, feeling ribs beneath the fur, and placed him in a warm corner of his shed. But that night, the dog slipped out through the open door and returned to the grave again. He lay there before sunrise, as if afraid she might wake and not find him. Years passed quietly. The cemetery changed. New stones, new names, new flowers. But the dog remained the same brown shadow beside one grave. His fur turned gray, his legs weaker, his breath slower. Still, he stayed. One winter morning, the caretaker found him motionless, half buried, under fallen leaves. He looked peaceful, as if he had simply fallen asleep waiting. The man knelt down, eyes heavy with understanding, and dug a small patch beside the woman's grave. He wrapped the dog in an old blanket and placed him there, right where he had chosen to live out his waiting. When the earth was covered again, the man placed a small stone over the mound. No name, just a single word carved by hand: loyal. Some say dogs don't understand death, that they only wait because they don't know any better. But maybe that's what love really is. Staying even when you know they'll never come back. In a quiet graveyard at the edge of town, where grass whispers and time forgets, two graves rest side by side, one with a name and one without. And when the wind blows gently through the trees, it almost sounds like a tail wagging somewhere far away, still waiting.